Hey, what's up guys? How's it going? It's Good Irishman here, and today we have got ourselves a, well, let's just say I got rallied, and a lot of people got hurt, both sides. Nobody got out of this, really, not untouched. So right from the get-go, to give you some background, neither one of us were exactly aware at the time that our shields dropped. And so this completely caught us by surprise, and it was like around 8 in the morning. So it was like one of those things that like it completely threw me off guard. But when I woke up and I saw all these scouts, and thankfully the notifications were on, so at least I was able to pull up my phone. But by the time I got on, I'm like, oh no, the damage is already done. One princess has already been attacked, and I'm fixing to get rallied. So, well, this is, I guess now I've got to stage a defense here and make, one last stand, because you really don't know what you're up against. Now, if you don't know, this guy is 2 billion might, has an 11k hero, okay, to give you some context here. Now, I mean, don't get me wrong, okay, I knew that this day was coming. I knew at some point they would finally get so angry that they would finally want to get their resources back, or at least, in some way, retaliate. And so they went ahead, sent some siege to knock my wall down, or at least I think that was kind of the goal. And so here you can see he's got, the general title. He's got clown title on me. As you can tell, I don't have a ton of gems. And in case you're wondering, it's because of tier 5 research. And of course, I've pretty much stopped doing that, by the way. But so first things first is he starts sending range at me. Now, the rookie mistake here is he gave me enough time to basically counter it. So I'm like, well, okay, then I'll just patiently wait. Wait, you give him plenty of time to walk, because, he must think I'm offline or something. And so we're going to go ahead and wait for the last second, swap to infantry gear, eat it, and then we're going to swap right back. And with any luck, they might have not noticed the change, which, if they're trained and well trained at it, they'll notice, right? But as you can tell, I have no anti-scout at this particular time, so they're scouting me and they can see that. Now, right off the bat, we know there's 950,000 red dead on their end. Okay, now, provided, of course, that he has some tier 2 buffer in there, and there's, a good chunk of that tier 4, is getting saved by the tier 2, right? For what I inflicted on him, though, it's very clear that, like, a 500k wound bill with a little bit of reds is not so bad. Now, obviously, at this point, I'm trying to consider my options here, because I'm not built to eat rallies right now. I was not, I was not prepared for this, okay? I was just building up tier 4, and I was like getting all set up for tier 5, and then basically this all went down, and so you're gonna see kind of how drastic things get and how bad it gets, because believe me, it was actually pretty bad. But even still, right, to prepare a defense and you want to set it up and do it right, you got to make sure you're in war gear, getting war talents. And then the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you counter whatever they send. So like if he sends range, all right, it doesn't matter what phalanx he's in. I want to be an imp phalanx then. And so that way, all of his range hit my infantry and they'll lose. Now, you can see there that 11k hero is in there, okay? So this guy has one 11k hero. Thankfully, he doesn't have, 3 11k heroes in there, but just one. But still, that's a heavy-hitting march that he threw at me. Now, he lost his leader, but of course, he wants more. So what does he do? He starts rallying me again, but this time without his leader, okay? Now, I'm trying to time this just right, and I don't want to pop my heel too late, so I waited until their coalition started. Now, I assumed, the worst that can happen here is they could catch that and cancel, right? But again, he sends range again, all right, assuming that I'm in either Cav Wedge or in Cav Phalanx. I really don't know which one he was thinking I was in, but either way, I went ahead and I just kind of waited this out, because I figured, okay, well, the worst that can happen here is that, if I stage this defense right, they'll send more rallies and I'll just keep capping and keep eating those marches as they come along. So, of course, whenever you're trying to do a last stage defense like this, you always want to swap your gear. So I went to my inf gear since that had the most damage possible for that particular unit type. And there I went ahead and ate that. And again, that you can see was a considerable lot less wounded and a lot more red dead on their end. So now we're almost at 2 million kills. Now, whenever you're trying to do a defense like this, obviously if they're just sending, tier 2 and tier 4, this is a pretty common mix to see. So you can see it's 60-40. Meaning that 60% of it is tier 4, 40% of it is tier 2. And so they're able to save most of their tier 4. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm taking a lot of losses here because, for a rally like that, it didn't do them any good. So, of course, after this, they noticed that I was online and they went ahead and they basically canceled. Ying Bear just pretty much decided to back out. Now, of course, whenever you're trying to do a defense, you don't want to reveal that you're online. But at this point, I've got their leader. I've taken not one but 2 rallies at this point. And like I told you guys, I'm not prepared to take rallies here. But of course, I'm also willing to fight. I'm not afraid to do it. I've done it lots of times in the past on this channel. And I know all too well that we had that glitch going on not too long ago, right? And it was still on my mind. I'm like, oh boy, I really don't know how I feel about this. So I went ahead and I used some 30Ks to heal just the right amount. That way it wouldn't appear like I had food in my account, so that it appeared like I was healing. And I was really kind of hoping that would convince them that, oh, he's just not online. But at this point, they knew the jig was up. They knew something was wrong. And of course, that's just the way it goes. But even still, right now, you can see in this scout report here that they're going to pull. They're going to see that I healed. And then they're going to go, oh, the infirm is 186,000 when it was 400,000 before. And they're going to go, oh, okay, I see. He's online. And so immediately after that, they start pulling out and they start leaving. Now, of course, the real problem, right, whenever you take rallies like this, is you can stage a defense and you can do what you can to defend yourself, but you really never know what you're going to be dealing with. Now, in this case, I was dealing with a full range march, full maxed out on the familiars. Everything was almost as maxed out as it could be. Okay, and when you're dealing with something like that, there's a good chance that you'll get hurt. Now, fortunately, I have pretty decent stats. My stuff was like 500-600% on the attack stats. So, I mean, just to give you an idea of just what I'm doing, I'm parred up about as high as a normal Titan is. Okay, I'm about as strong, and I'm almost as big as most Titans in the game now. And so it really did catch me off by surprise, because I'm almost a billion might at this point, guys, and yet they're coming at me swinging, and that really does say something when a guild has finally convinced the other families in their kingdom that, look, we need to get rid of this guy. He's been wiping out our banks, and it's time to get our revenge. And that they did. They came at me full swinging. Is that's their goal? Is to take as many reds with them as they can. And if they can inflict even a little bit of damage. I mean, this is the thing with rallies too, is that although on paper, right, it might make a lot of sense to eat rallies, but believe me, it's usually very, very painful, especially when I'm the one having to take most of the reds. If it was divided up and I had, I don't know, like, if a lot of that buffer, right, ate it, and I never had a kill red dead on my end, it would never have been that bad. But again, it always seems to happen that I end up having to take reds, and that's just the way the game is. But, in case you're wanting to build up to this point, I mean, again, this is my composition. That's what I was using. And by no means do you need to have 2 to 3 million tier 4 in 2 types. I just conveniently happen to have that at the time. Now, obviously, the one problem with that is that I have 2 million tier 2 on the sides. And so it doesn't make a very effective buffer because it's very tiny. It's actually very easy for somebody to just continuously rally me until they can wipe through that buffer. And so later in the day, they eventually actually get around to doing this. But again, I'll show you here in a bit what that was going to look like. But that's going to be a next video. So I'll totally break it down a little bit further as far as the reports go. But as you can tell, yeah, it was pretty bloody to begin with. It's just at this point I've got one of their leaders. I've got the 2 billion might player, and so Xinghen, Fidair. Again, these guys don't have 11k heroes, but they're a billion might. They've got a lot of troops, okay, and they're gonna come back and swing at me again. And that's going to be for the next video. So I really do hope you guys check out that next video. I'll have hopefully by the time this is uploaded, I'll have a link to the video here at the end of the end screen. So I totally recommend to check that out. But, you know, again, let me tell you guys, I took a triple rally in that video, so you guys are going to really like it, but believe me, it hurt. So hopefully you'll check it out, and I'll see you guys to the next video.